At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu. At Arizona State University, we've made online education better, smarter, and more personalized so you can go further in your aspiring field.
I decided to pursue medicine once I realized that ASU did have the online program for biological sciences. You're still required to learn the same curriculum. You're still being tested on the same content that anyone would be tested on in person. The comprehensiveness of the program prepared me so well for medical school.
Explore over 300 programs at asuonline.asu.edu. With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
If you love entertainment, current events, and Hollywood, don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today, we have a special guest.
Mercedes, Arturo.
Beautiful. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. I looked at your resume. I read your bio. I'm like, wow. I love seeing women do such amazing things in this industry. It just makes me so happy. But I love going back to the beginning. I always say the beginning charts our trajectory in life. You know, the things that we pick up along the way when we're children, our childhood, kind of follow us into our adulthood. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. What was that like? And how did you find your way into doing the amazing things that you're doing now?
Interesting that you're asking that, because this trip that I'm doing, I'm in Patagonia, and you see the landscape behind me. It was a little bit of going back to my childhood origins. This is not my childhood landscape, but because I just crossed from the Atlantic Ocean to the hills, to the Andes Mountains, with a little road trip. But so I grew up in Patagonia. I was born and I grew up here on the desert side, on the Atlantic side, and I just visited my hometown, which is now almost like a whole, ghost town. Because my dad was a mine engineer, is a mine engineer. But so I was born there. We were living there, and then at some point we started to move quite a lot. And it's not, when I put it in, in the timeline, it's not so many years that we moved. It's between I was 10 until I was 16. That is when I arrived to Buenos Aires, which is the Argentinian capital city, and it's a big city. So the funny thing is that we were moving each time to a bigger city, which is great I think, to arrive to a capital city when you're 16, and then you have all this energy and things going on and all this input, that a very cultural city also can, impress a young girl as I was. But then those 6 years were also very formative and they shaped me in a way, all this moving. So I in a way, I think I'm an artist, but I'm also a traveler.
Yeah.
There's something in me that I need to travel. I'm very curious about, proving that the world is wider.
Yeah.
That's very important to me.
I love that. Yeah. That's beautiful. And it is like, I completely love that. I love that traveling. I feel like the things that we get to do in the industry, it does allow us to travel and to see amazing places and to create in these amazing
Yeah.
places, which is always, it's like the best job on earth, honestly.
Yes. Well, you get inspiration. You know, we were traveling. It's like, oh, these colors and these landscapes and these stories that you hear in the road. People tell you, you know, something about their lives. It's like, oh, that triggers something. You know, triggers imagination. I think it's very important to move physically from your, you know, day to day.
Yes,
And definitely, you know, like, you know, filming, you film super intensely and then you work long hours, but then you have long hours for to rest.
yeah.
So that's very good.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, and when I read your bio, I was just like,
Mhm.
where do I start? Because your resume is impeccable. You know, you've done theater, you've wardrobe, stage design, you've done around 20 plays. I mean, like, that's incredible. How do you find the time to do all that? And, you know, with somebody that works at that kind of level, what do you do to stay sharp when it comes to like your skills, keeping your skills sharpened?
That's that's a hard question. How do I have time? I'm not that young, so I guess that helps to be able to do so many things.
Well, you look
I
amazing.
yeah, I'm 46 now. So but I started young. I think I enjoy so much doing what I do that it's, you know, almost never it feels like a job or like a burden. And when it feels like a burden, I move on.
Mm,
Um so that for me, you know, it gives me a lot of energy and joy to do what I do. I think I come from this culture that it's very creative
mhm.
and it's not about the business because the culture industries are not super industrial here. You know, like it's not like the studios in LA,
Hmm.
but we're all, especially in theater, there's a lot of independent theater, and we're all doing small theater plays and keep going, you know. And so I think that's important, like to improve also, but also keep the joy of it and to stay sharp. I think the team also
Yeah,
is who you choose to work with, and because if you're enjoying it, you're present.
yeah,
If you are not, then your mind and your body and your energy and your good mood, you know, starts to shift. So I think that's, you know, when I direct, when I lead, I try to choose a good team. And when I'm on the other side, that is a joy for me too, you know, also to be able to see others direct, which is almost unheard of for other directors. It's like I I try to, you know, be very present and work with people that I trust, that I like the projects, that I feel identified with, that you know, I try to find even if this project or that project, you know, sounds a little bit weird or out of my zone, but then I try to find what hooks me in, you know.
right. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. You said something very interesting in that earlier. Yeah, you know, opposed to LA, you know, and where you are now. Like, I feel like there's a different, and do you feel like there's a difference when it comes to like the business side? Like, I feel like LA, you know, I lived in, gosh, LA almost 14 years. And when I was there, I felt like there was just like the energy was so like everyone's always has to have something going. You got to be busy, you got to stay busy, you know, like, and then you don't, it just seems like people don't like never really had time to take breaks. And opposed to somewhere else, I think it's a little bit more like it's, you're still working, but it's not as pressing, it seems like.
There is that pressure, but I also think there's an unspoken pressure to fit into certain molds.
Mm,
Uh, at least not yourself, or maybe yourself too. That I'm not that aware, maybe. But yes, your work. So you start working within a structure and thinking and imagining with, you know, the scripts have to have a certain structure. Now what you can sell is genre or IPs, and then you stop thinking of new things. And I feel that energy permeates in creators, in very young and talented people, and that's why I think it's very important to remind yourself, and if you can, remove yourself at least for a while, for some months, for whatever it is, that there are other ways of creating. Because being busy, we're busy here too. I'm sure Atlanta is super busy too, but it's the speculation. Non-speculation is key to be creative. Because at the end, I mean, we have all these talks lately because LA was slow this year and everybody was like kind of in panic. I have friends who left the city, but mainly is like I had, because of my short film, and also had another short film that I co-wrote with my husband, Nico Casavecchia, and that premiered in Sundance. It's Border Hopper. So Back Home and Border Hopper. So we have, we between both shorts, we had the chance to be in many festivals and go around, and the first half of the year. And then the conclusion is like there's so many interesting things happening in shorts. So many new directors, so many new ideas, so many new concepts, and a contemporary way of seeing the world. And then you go to the features, and the majority are like, I don't know, like a superhero number 32, and I don't want to. So it's like you cannot eat chips every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's something about that is tiring. So I'm hopeful, because I think from all these shorts that I've seen this year, there are a few directors that hopefully they will make it to the major leagues, and they will get deals to.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years, and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You look great. What have you been doing?
I found Zelthy. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe the same active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s for 80 to 90% less without insurance. All of mine shipped right to your door.
Get started with Zelthy today for just $39. Call pound 250 and say keyword CARE. That's CARE to pound 250.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip: when it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
To feature films.
Yeah.
I hope I get that too, of course. But I also think there's a fatigue, a tiredness of what is expected, the speculation, the formula. So being busy is not only complying,
Yeah.
So being busy is also creating something unique that expresses yourself properly.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. You're so right, because there's something about the, like you said, these up and coming directors, like their imaginations they're just more hungry. It seems like, and they're just more like when it comes to imagination and putting their ideas out there, they're just taking chances. They're taking more of a risk because they don't have a big studio to like tell them, okay, you can't do this and this and this. They're just doing whatever, which I find really kind of freeing in a way. So kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That freedom, and it's like nothing to lose. You're not you're not in the industry yet, so express yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've worked with in a lot of spans across many medias, from stage to design. So what draws you to explore such different forms of expression, and like what makes you say, yes, I want to do a project?
So I think the medium is more about curiosity and, moving forward and try to challenge myself, and finding joy in new things. I think I always wanted to do cinema, but I was also very aware that when I finished school, high school, I was very green, very naive, and I was very aware that I needed to travel, I needed to fall in love, to adventures. Life is, if there are not adventures, there's nothing you can really tell as an artist. So I was focused on getting adventures at the beginning, but I was always related to theater, and then my friends started to ask me to do set design and wardrobe, and I loved especially wardrobe. I think it's what I feel the best, it's a lot of fun. I love working with actors. So at the end, the wardrobe's the skin of the character. You co-create the character when you have a good actor to work with, it's such a pleasure. And then when I thought I was ready, I went to film school in my early 30s, and I started to direct, and it's another layer. But it's not so different, I think. There's something about storytelling, like wardrobe is also a way of storytelling. You are a little bit of a dramaturgist with the choices you make. You can even create jokes with wardrobe. It's like, there's always a little bit this idea that wardrobe is like, oh, you like clothes, you're very superficial, you're like, you're the girly, and no, there's a lot of anthropology in it, there's a lot of writing skills in it, and then of course the technical side of choosing the right fabric. But so that movement, it feels very organic to me.
I love that.
I know for the American view of life is kind of inefficient, but I don't know. I didn't come to this world to be efficient.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm not an engine, so in that sense, I always claim and reclaim my right to do whatever brings me joy. So that is everything to me.
That's so refreshing to hear. um, it's you did something, you designed costume for Disney, Junior Express, which I'm sure that must have been a really unique experience. What was the creative process like for that project, and how does it different from other designs that you've done?
Oh yeah. Well, before that I had done a lot of indie theater.
Okay.
So then suddenly I had opinions. I had to first I have to follow some rules because I did the theater version of something that wasn't on TV. So some parts let's say I inherited the design, and then some other the music pieces, the songs, the musicals, they were like on my own, and it was a joy, really. I had a blast. It's very interesting when you go from very indie theater, like kind of off Broadway, or even smaller, to tour Latin America and have shows of 5,000 people twice a day, and because it was very, very successful. So it's in the Latin American market, but it was very successful.
Nice.
And then I loved touring, and then it was very tiring at some point. It was enough, but it was a good step up. It was also funny because that happened when I was starting to leave wardrobe and start to be more of a director. But then I always make this joke that is like, when a couple is about to separate and they get pregnant. So that kind of happened to me with wardrobe. And then, but it was great because I rediscovered wardrobe in a different scale. I had to dress more people, and I had, more ambitious, more visual, more visually entertaining, and the storytelling of a musical is completely different. The show side of it is completely different from those more intellectual new writers' plays that I was doing before that. So I'm very happy. I'm very glad to have had that experience. It's
I love that.
really nice.
It's beautiful. So your short film, Back Home, premiered at Tribeca, which is freaking amazing. Is participating in the Rising Voices program. Um, what does Back Home represent for you personally, and how was that opportunity? How did you feel you got it?
Oh, it's like a, before and after, I would say, because I was living in the US, I was doing wardrobe, yes, but I was not finding a way to direct, directing film, and also in a city where um, I didn't study in the US, so I don't have friends from school that would, okay, let's meet together for a weekend and then film something together. That's something I could do in Argentina, but I was not able to do in the US. And it's quite expensive to do a short, and especially something like Back Home that is so ambitious and so big. So when I got into Rising Voices, and it was like such a dream, it was beautiful. And I had, funny enough, I had set myself like a deadline, like if by September 2025 I can't, find myself an opportunity to direct, then I may focus on wardrobe, and then I will try to direct in Argentina once in a while, but I will, put kind of this dream to sleep a little bit, because you have to ground yourself to and pay the bills.
Yeah. Right.
Basically. So, and then this opportunity came, and it was insanely beautiful, and I had such a blast. I worked, they are amazing, like especially 271 Films, Domenica and Constanza Castro, both the sisters. They were like on top of everything, and they helped me so much, and they helped every team. And then I had my own team, specific for Back Home, like Stephanie O'Neill and Sarah Setsuko Clausen. And they were like my producers, and they were the best partners for that adventure. And there's a track that is gonna sound very loud. There you go. Sorry.
It's okay.
And then I think it was a moment for me. It's a more mature film than my previous ones, but it still remains something of the tenderness and the cuteness of the relationship and the characters that I always like. I always have. Probably I have artists, but not artists that are super successful. Artists that work and enjoy what they do.
Yeah.
So, and this idealist grandma, and there's something about the story that without betraying my own kind of characters and kind of stories that I like to tell, this time I was able to say something more, and to, especially because it's about the AI artists in the AI era, and how that will affect us, and what are we seeing about that, but what are we not seeing about the AI coming, So I think it's, for a short, it's very ambitious to tell all the things I was telling, but
if you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I think it worked, and I'm super proud of it. And I met new friends, and I met new teammates, and other directors, and it was a blast.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, I love that you have like this amazing drive to just create anything you want, or anything you feel like you like, because you have so many different things that you've done on your resume. It's like, whoa. Have you always been like that, like not fitting up, putting yourself in a box, like just doing whatever you feel like you want to do creatively?
Yeah, what we were saying before about childhood, I think in a way is that moving around so much is like, okay, it's good to change. It's great to change. It's great to be in different places. I moved from city I mean, I changed school forever many times, but it's like we changed city, we changed the province, which is like a state in the US. We changed the country, sizes of cities, kinds of schools, of course, friends and houses. And so I think that's why I find those 6 years of my life very formative, very, they changed my path. I don't know if I had been if I had stayed in the same city forever, or until I was 18 before going to university or something like that.
Yeah.
But that happened. And I don't want to get bored with
Yeah.
myself. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, if I'm doing something for too long, then I feel that I myself need a change. It's not to prove anything, anything to anyone. It's just like, let's try something else. Maybe there's
Yeah.
joy here. I'm curious about this. What about sculpture? And then maybe next time it's gonna be, something different. There are like so many things I want to try. It's just that don't you feel sometimes that one life is not enough?
Yes. Yeah, I know what you
So
mean. Yeah.
I have that feeling all the time.
No, I love it. I completely understand that. Like I feel like I jokingly tell my friends that I feel like I'm a gypsy because I'm always like they're always wondering what I'm doing next, and I'm always doing something that is like, creative, but just something that is different and that speaks to me for the moment because like you said, I think as creatives we have to, you know, constantly stay inspired. At least I feel like I am by just interactions with different people, whether that's different cultures or different cities or just environments. Um, yeah, I think sometimes I have to step away from social media in order to like get a different perspective on life because social media is a distraction to me a lot. Like we have to have it, I get it, but like it's like it's not real.
It's like everything, enough. Those that is enough
Yeah.
for you. It's great for me in many ways because I'm a foreigner, so all my friends that live in different countries or in different cities, I'm still in touch, which was something I couldn't do when I was a child. So that's
Right.
I really appreciate that side of all these social networks. But
Has there ever been
like everything, you need the proper amount, then it's too much.
That's true. That's very true. Has there ever been a moment in your journey that you've ever like questioned like your path and said, you know what, I don't think I want to do this creative stuff anymore?
No,
I love that answer.
it never happened. I may, consider, okay, I need to find a way to make a living out of what I want to do.
Yeah.
Yes. I need to, find a way to, be more professional, but no, I never questioned that. No.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. I have a fun question that I love asking everyone one on the show, and there's no wrong answer.
I love that.
Here comes the pressure. I'm just kidding. The 3 levels of influence: money,
Okay.
power, or respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose?
Respect.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that is a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, respect is everything. Money here, I'm from a country and I'm now in this country visiting, but it's like money come and go, and sometimes there's money, sometimes a full crisis, so it's not that important.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
It's a great answer. Respect. I like it. If you could, sit down and have coffee with any artist, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Oh, so many.
Anyone on your like bucket list?
I mean, right now there's I have a big list of this, but I would say depending what, but like I'd love to meet Baz Luhrmann and his wife, Catherine. I'll also, because I work a lot with my husband, and I love what is it, couple dynamics to work together and create together, and they create such exuberant worlds that I feel so drawn to them. Yeah, I think those two would be really fun to sit with. And then I think I would have, I don't know, someone there. Virginia Woolf. I don't know. Maybe she was sad, but I don't know. It was
I
not.
love Virginia Woolf. That's a great answer, honestly. I thought she was brilliant.
But yeah, like hey, yeah.
It's a great one. I love that. Yeah, I would totally do that too, because I find that I think in order to I find people that are brilliant or have like extraordinary like stories and like things that they've done creatively um also seems a bit sad. They seem a bit sad, you know.
Yeah, I think when you have the sensitivity to observe the world and to be in touch with your sentiments, with all your feelings, then you're also, you're also opening that door.
Yeah.
So that's also a challenge, and especially these days we're talking about mental health so much. It's like it's something that as an artist you have to be aware of, like especially I think performers, like the rush of performing live and then the downs of that. So yeah, there is something absolutely sensitive about those characters, but also being so smart in those days, I don't know, it's insane.
Yeah. No, it has to, yeah, it has to be a lot. Like even like when I say comedians, like even the funniest comedians are the saddest ones, or really depressed. It's like, wow.
Yeah, they have their battles. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious with everything that you've done, is there a topic that you haven't explored yet and that you would like to tackle?
A topic. Well, I'm working on a hybrid documentary now.
Okay.
About a woman who crossed the whole continent from Buenos Aires, so from Argentina's capital to Ottawa, Canada's capital, both capitals, alone and by horse in the 50s.
Wow.
And there are topics about, female characters and ambitious female characters and traveling that are closer to me, but there are also layers of that politic layers in that story for sure, but also something of history and that moment of the 20th century that is so different in every place, and yeah, so that's something I'm working in, and I'm finding stuff there, but I don't have a list of topics or like what's next. I'm finding it. I if something inspires me, I'll give it my full attention and all my will to make it happen, but I don't have I'm not very good at strategy, so
same. I totally understand that for sure. Do you feel like the industry is changing for the better when it comes to women and just women getting their, in certain positions in this business? Do you feel like it's changing for the better?
I think
there's still a lot of work to be done?
I think there's a lot of work always, and we'll see the next 2 years. I think we're also about to have a shift if it's not happening right now. I think at least the world and us ourselves, the women, became more aware of what we can claim and what we can do. This is when I was in film school, so this is like 15 years ago. I had all my teams were like head of department were all girls, and that was weird, and I was looked like, what is she trying to do? And then of course a lot of stupid comments, and I think now that is more normalized,
Yeah.
and nobody would say anything about that. So I'm happy for that in a way. I do think that we need to, the changes that happen need to prove that they will stay, what's steady in these changes and what is just like, because it's the moment, and then now we're all back to square, if not square one, maybe square two,
Yeah,
three, and that we need to keep moving.
I agree.
So, but then I think it's it's also question of time and us, and I think next generations are having a much easier time than my generation.
Mhm.
It's different. Like we'll see in 20 years, the girls that are 20 something now,
Yeah.
okay, what opportunities they had when they get my age, so because I'm also dealing with not being that, also being a female, but also being a middle-aged woman.
You feel like it's different?
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. But it's been always like that. It's
Yeah.
it's part of the game.
It's a part of the game, unfortunately. Yeah, it's like I think men, they never. I heard a guy was telling me the other day we were talking. He was like, he's in the business, and he's like, he's like, men, we never aged in this business. We can be 100 years old. I'm like, yeah, very
Well, yeah,
true.
sometimes, yeah, depending what they do, like in commercials, I think they age. And
Yeah,
then depending how much, how contemporary you have to be.
yeah,
But also, it's, there are kids that are old souls, and there's old people that are like super young in their
yeah,
souls, and they keep, finding new stuff and being avant-garde in what they do. So
yeah.
that's something that also I think a mold that we have to break in terms of prejudices and ideas of what other people is, but also what who we are ourselves.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
so that's because always it's like it's a two sides of communication.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. What advice would you give to someone that wants to get in the industry?
Be ready to work very hard, very long hours. Um, and if you like it, then welcome. You know, I think that is something that is very glamorized. Our professions are very
Yeah.
glamorized. I remember even when I was doing theater, oh, wardrobe, so glamorous. Like, well, I pick up sweaty pants from the floor after when the dancers are changing. So there's those, I feel there's the part of it that it's that we need to show it how it is, like it's real, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of work, but also like I guess doctors when they do surgery and
Yeah.
they enjoy what they do, and
Yeah.
someone who opens a bar and here by the lake, for instance, enjoys what they do. So I think we have also the right to enjoy what we do,
Absolutely.
and that makes it way more interesting.
Absolutely. Where can people find you on social media to find everything that you have going on?
My Instagram, so it's Mechiart, Mechiart. And then I have my web, mercedesarturo.com. I was in Spanish now. And then, yeah, and those are my channels. I'm not, I maybe I should be better in my social media. But those are my channels.
TikTok,
I don't have TikTok.
Yeah, me neither.
I keep Facebook for some groups and some people, like an old person, but no, I tried. I think I had enough channels of communications.
Yeah, same.
Isn't I need silence too. Being an artist is also needing silence and space to create and mental space to create. So I cannot be in so many channels. I'm not good at that.
Same. No, I
Next
feel
time.
you. Absolutely. And you're doing amazing, amazing work. So literally,
You
thank
too.
you so much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
pleasure. I'm gonna show you more of the lake there.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wow.
The mountains
Wow.
behind.
Oh, I wish I could just beam there right now.
Super nice. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yes, it was. It was. It was great. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time.